Welcome and welcome to this Liga Tech video. In this video here I will show you how Liga Global ID is integrated with Micro Focus Access Manager and Micro Focus eDirectory. Let me go to the small agenda that we have. So the first part I will do is showing you setting up the Global ID admin UI device template. This is where Global ID is connecting the identity to the consuming system. The system, in this case Access Manager, that is consuming the identity that has been processed in the Global ID engine. Next I will show you with the Micro Focus iManager how the value are stored at the user in eDirectory. Then I will go to the Access Manager IDP server, the console of Access Manager, and show you how a X509 class is configured. And finally I will show you that all the stuff that I just told you here is actually also working in real life. So let's get on. I just need to change my screen. There it is. So let's go on. The first thing I need to is to log into our Global ID platform. We're using SAML for that purpose because of course we can control all the access right and the roles right from the Access Manager, or it could be another IDP. The main thing here is that we make sure that when the user authenticates, this is the right user that has access right to the to our admin UI. In the admin UI there's a lot of functionality. I will not go into all of these details now. This has been covered in a different video. But in this case here I will just show you our device template. We are in this system here that you are monitoring and looking at an internal system here in Liga, and that's why things here has some funny names. In a real world you would be able to name these things according to the settings that is preferable for you. I will show you here our device template. In this case we call this test case 3, but ignore that and just remember all of that can be configured. I will just go down here to the bottom. You see here the config description, config name. You can more or less call this whatever you like. We have here a setting named Device Connect. This is where the magic is happening. So we have defined in the Global ID when a identity is being processed in our system, we also setting up how shall that information be transferred to a connected system. In this case here we have configured the configuration for Active Directory and the configuration for Access Manager. Going in and looking at a user in our system, we have a user here named Liga ID. This user here, you will see in a second that this user here has a smart card, a authentication device store, and at this device store actually the user has a certificate coming from Active Directory and a certificate coming from a national Danish system in this case. If I click here at the magnifying glass, you will see the details for this certificate. What is more important, when I click the advanced view, you will see this setting here, X509 identifier. That setting is the setting that directs the information to Access Manager. So when I go into this setting here and look at that saying, we will just notice that it ends at F78. Remember that number because this is what we're going to see in a very few seconds. I will now go into the iManager. I think you're all familiar with that. People work with Identity Manager and work with the Micro Focus technology are typically also quite well aware of iManager. You would also notice here it might be a little bit old version, but these are also the same things in the newer versions. I will go here to my directory administration. I will go to my modify object. I will click down here. That was the wrong button. I will click this one and then I will go down. I will find my user. As you remember, I have a user named Liga ID and somewhere down all this. Where do that go? Liga ID, there you are. That's my user that I'm using here for this demonstration. I said that I want to show you where is the value on the user object. And this is the interesting thing. You see, here is what we name as our own attribute, a global ID X509 identifier value. If I click on that and say edit, you will see, if I click the pencil, you remember F78, this is the value that is stored on the user object. So remember the value that I just set here, the global ID X509 identifier. Also notice the format that we are using here. This is the format of the CA that has been issuing, as well as the root CA and the interim CA, and then the serial number of the given certificate for the user. So I will just say, go back here, and I will go now and show you in the Access Manager how that works. And quite conveniently, I have Access Manager access right open right here. So identity server, IDP cluster, I will not go into that. I think for you, you are already familiar with how this works. But what is important is that the classes. So we have defined here a class named X509. This is the X509 class I just talked about. And how is that working? Well, that works quite easily. So if we go here, you will see exactly serial number and issuer name is merged into this value. And that's what we are matching on against the when a user tries to log into the Access Manager. So with that said, I will just show you from my laptop how it works in real life. Now you have seen how the backend is set up for using Access Manager eDirectory. Now I will show you how it works with a regular user and a regular smart card. And this is exactly what I have here in the left of me. I have a PC, I have a card reader, and you will see in a second on the screen also that I connect my card. The PC shows I can just take the card away. You will see immediately that the machine reacts to when the card is presented to the card reader. Obviously, as just said, there are cards, tokens, and card readers, and this is a big area of various items that exist out there. We are doing another video where we explain more in details all these different options that you have. Right now I'm using a contactless NFC card, a dual interface card with my standard Windows. I have, in the Windows machine, I've done quite little to configure the Windows. This is a default setting. So I'm just logging in here to Windows with my card. What I really want to show you is how this works with Access Manager. So I will fire up the browser. I will go to the URL of my Access Manager, the portal. I will just wait a second here in Chrome to have that happening. So there we are. Access Manager has said, okay, give me a authentication. I will present my certificate. As you remember in what I showed you earlier, I have a smart card where I have two certificates on. But I'm using this one that you just saw, F78. Okay, enter my PIN code, push enter, and there you are. I'm authenticated to Access Manager with a smart card, with a PIN code, not a password. And why is PIN smart? That's because PIN is not transmitted via the network. PIN does not have to change. And PIN is a personal thing between me and my card, and no one else knows that PIN code. So with that, I just want to say thank you for you listening, and you are welcome back on another LigaTech video.